Hi, welcome. I'm Veronica Entwistle. I'm an intuitive and energy counselor. I have some wonderful guides and angels that are here with you. And this is a launching of our live call in show, which means I want you to call. And when you call and make the connection, I want you to hang up right away so that we're not confusing the phone lines or ourselves. And I notice that it's very, very rambunctious out there these days. A lot of big changes in society, a lot of big changes in technology. We've been through a huge election. People aren't sure about jobs. There's a lot to be talked about today. And I really want to know who you are. Obviously, we're here to be living at this particular time in the history of mankind. And you obviously have aspects of life that you're pushing through in order to evolve. And I know that there's a very evolutionary time as well. So you're pushing through because of some of the traumas in your life in order to make harmony out of your own personal evolution and in order to reach for what it is you want to do. And you would be calling in to tell us what are the blocks that you have or what are the confusions you have. And we get to see right into you and the kind of soul journey you're on and what's in your way and how to heal it with heal is a big word, but anyway, heal it with energy movement and consciousness. And I'm really glad that we're live on air. It's been a while for me. I just love it. So when you call in, remember, I'll remind you again, hang up as soon as you ask your question to make sure we don't clutter the phone lines. So I'm looking forward to talking to you. All right, so we're not here yet. Maybe you're driving up the road and don't want to be late. But in any case, what I want to say is you are in a state of becoming, and so am I. And when things kind of break up, the whole fabric of society is breaking all over the place. And that gives us room to expand and grow and unfold, doesn't it? We're not stuck in the identities. Remember in the old days, I'm speaking to people who are a little older than young. In the old days, you chose what it is you wanted to be. And that's what you aimed for. Nowadays, it isn't. People choose what they want to be, and then they re-choose, and then they redo, and then they start different businesses, and they move halfway around the world. Or they get so tied up in technology, they even forget what their original identity was already all about. My guides love looking into you and finding out what's some of the more vital dreams that are in your life, in your soul's journey. I work sometimes with seniors as well, and I've noticed that even if someone is decrepit or someone has lost certain capacities, they all have this deep aspect of something in them wanting to push through and to become more fulfilled or more fulfilling in their life. It's really amazing to be a human being. Sometimes I think it's a lot of work because we're always in some sort of state of puzzles and so on. But people are becoming much more well rounded, even older people that are doing things like writing their first book, setting up a performance. It's really remarkable what's going on amongst people, but because what's happening inside of you is pushing to realize itself, pushing through you to become. You understand? And that's why we want you to call in. And I think the numbers are right there on the screen. Oh, we have a call. So hang on a minute. We'll see who's here today.
Inside of you is pushing to realize itself, pushing through you to become.
I guess the question would be, how to check in on my health.
We want you to call in. And I think the numbers are right there on the screen. Oh, we have a call. So hang on a minute. We'll see who's here.
Hello, I've got a caller. Hi, who am I talking to?
What's stop the sound so I don't have to hear her while I'm talking to you.
Good. Yeah, that's a good idea. And what's your name, please?
Can't you, Ronnie?
Hi, Kent Shu. How are you, darling?
I'm doing fine. How are you? Tell me how I'm doing.
It's all about you, isn't it?
Well, isn't that what you want the question for?
Exactly.
I would take the time to say it's about you too.
Kent is an old friend of mine. He's the one who taught me how to ride BART when I was down in San Francisco. Do you remember that, Kent?
Yeah.
You look like you're pretty happy. Yeah, you look like you're fairly happy. Narrow your question down so I know what's going on.
Well, I guess I just want to say that I'm still alive for now. So the question is, I guess, am I supposed to last a little longer, or am I still got one foot in the grave?
I don't know about the 1 foot in the grave. You look like you're too cheeky to do that. You look like you've got some pretty interesting, you always help people, Kent. Remember that? And you have some pretty interesting, even if you're not well, and I won't look to your health quite yet, but you have some pretty interesting situations to help people. I know you have kids, but it seems like there's some extra people around you that you're trying to help. And you know what's interesting about you? One of the things is you're here for service. And when you help people, you push your lifespan. It's really interesting. People need to know that when we're reaching out and helping people, because in our soul's journey, we actually can be increasing our lifespan. And that's what I see you doing. And do you have thyroid stuff? He's not on. Oh, okay. I forgot that we had to hang you up. But it seems like your health is being pushed. I think maybe your throat or something is being pushed by the fact you're helping people again. And I admire you. I know that that's what you do. So let's hope that we'll have another caller very soon. I want to talk to people about how, for example, with Kent, how you, when you're aiming toward becoming something greater, stronger, more helpful, whatever, you actually increase your health and your probably lifespan. It's very interesting. Some people think they work too hard or this or that, but if they're on track with what their soul wants, they're actually adding to their lifespan. And they're also making themselves more healthy than they would have been before. Yeah. So now we have another caller. Who have we got here?
Go ahead with your question.
Oh, okay. It's a physical question, physical body.
Okay.
Okay. So when I am in a sitting position, I feel like my diaphragm area gets extremely tight, and it's been 3.5 years steady of.
Have you had it? Seems like we've got some interference here, right? Have you had it checked? Because it looks like that part of your diaphragm is very thick, or the material of that which contains inside the diaphragm is very thick. It's like thickened up. Have you had that checked? I would get it checked, and I would have, you probably have already done body work and that sort of thing, but you really need to move two things. One is your posture is a little disquieting right now. I'm not sure why. It's like oh, that's what it is. You've got a stress and you're holding your posture a certain way. And that's really creating and exacerbating the problem. Go get some body work done. And also, you probably know about breathing. We need to do some very intense breathing, and that will break down the fascia in that part of your body that's getting thicker. I should have asked your age. So sometimes it helps if people note their age when they call in. Sometimes that helps a lot. And then I get the timeline. You link things with a happenstance and so on. So I hope that answered your question. But also for people who are just calling in, it's really important to know that wear and tear on your body can happen as much from holding patterns as it can from overstressing. And that where we hold, for example, I have a sore knee, which because I heard it a while back. But when I sit still with my legs bent, my knee is in terrible shape and I have to literally break apart the tension in there. And that's the same as your body, the way your chest is holding its energy down or the way your belly is holding its energy. And it's really important for you to have a rapport, have a chat with your body. If your neck is too stiff, you're going to have worse problems. And here's the other interesting thing about that. I choose to speak of the neck just for a minute here. And I realize the neck is a file folder for consciousness of self. And how many things are you going through each day that bring you forward in terms of knowing who you are or teach you to integrate some new learnings into your body mind? And a lot of that gathers in your neck because who you want to become has to go through this little gateway, doesn't it? Has to go through the influences on you. And somehow, in the middle of its whirling techniques, you become able to be facile with the movement of your neck, but you integrate those experiences with other people that you've been sharing. It's a fascinating thing to be a human being and not always manageable. And do we have another caller here? Okay, I'm going to jump out. There's nobody calling yet. Maybe you're the one who's supposed to be calling. I have a friend who is 95 and she's in a seniors semi-assisted housing, but she also and is well looked after and she's happy and so on. But she's an artist. And what's really interesting about her, and I'm talking to her hoping that maybe she'll actually be listening. What I'm noticing about her is that she's cultivating within herself a new, she goes vacillates between being tired of being infirm, if you will, but then she keeps coming up with a new way of understanding people and understanding herself. And she's moving into greater artistry. And really, I would say it's a deepening understanding of people and how they work. And of course, when somebody's 95, I can see that an aspect of their personality is reaching for life beyond. And hers is really brightly lit. Like when she's ready to go, she'll probably say, "Okay, I'm out of here, and I've had a great life, and goodbye." And it is not a tragedy because she knows she's moving into a really beloved new way of being. So we do have another caller. Maybe that's. I hope my friend heard that, but maybe not. Who's our caller this time? Excuse me while I clear my throat.
Go ahead with your question.
Yes. Should I be working on this Diamond Adventure show with Peter Green, or should I let them figure it out on their own? Does she see that as a good opportunity for me or a bad one?
It's a good opportunity for you, and it's but it's not an easy one. Do you understand that? And it's hard because it's not. I shouldn't put down somebody, but in any case, it's not very well organized, and you have the ability to see how it should go. And unless they're listening to you, it'll be most frustrating for you. But I do think you have the talent to really shape that show up. And I suspect Peter Green would appreciate you. So we're saying to you, do not restrict yourself. Do not hold back. Make sure that you say subtly and not in a nasty way, but you wouldn't do that anyway, what it is you prefer to see. But it's a good idea. It's a really good idea. One of the things that a lot of people, and I'll move on, hoping other people will call as well, but one other thing I want to say for a lot of us, we restrain some of what it is we want to do because we think we're either not good enough or we think, oh, it'll never work for me and so on. And I want to say very often this isn't true all the time, but very often it's worth taking a chance on yourself. Let your mind unfurl or send out the bigger dream that you've got and try to operate from that for a while. Of course, you have to be practical. Of course, you have to do nuts and bolts and so on. But I see in several of you, somebody is afraid to call in. I don't blame you because I'll bite you. But um, some people are really afraid to take a chance because they might look stupid or they might be wrong or they've got an ideal that is way beyond their ability or their deservability. And I want to say to people, take a chance. We said at the very beginning of this show that the whole society is all kind of changing. What people are doing, technology is changing, who you are is changing, family structures are changing. People are moving all over the place. So some of the things we're afraid to stretch out and try are the very things that we have to do because life is changing. The whole society is changing. It's a very interesting time to be on the planet. The other thing I want to mention, having said all that, is that education is a changing commodity too. It used to be that you got educated so you could get a job that was super duper and could pay your bills for 100 years. But nowadays, it's quite different. That education comes from a lot of it's coming from making the change. First of all, you have to learn technology, you know that. But it comes from making the personal changes through that kind of situation and then being quite is the word adept or facile at seeing steps or lily pads along the oceanic change time. And so a lot of people are going to have to be more entrepreneurial, which I see for this last caller, be entrepreneurial, and hopefully you'll gather enough friends along the way to have support when you do that. When you put your mind with other people who are also entrepreneurial, you can develop a rapport that can support and harmonize with your sensitivities whilst you do that. So we're saying it's different than before. You used to get a degree or some kind of education, and then you knew you were safe and you could just work like that until you retired. No, it's not going to go that way. But I will tell you that there are little pots of people in certain levels of consciousness all over the world. We'll just talk about the Western world right now that are developing new ways of being, new community forces, new ways of understanding each other, new types of healing. The healing styles are amazing and they do touch your personal what is your personal desire and what is it you live for. They touch into that, and that's really something. In the olden days we didn't even concern ourselves with that. Well, we did in a way, but not it wasn't a regular thing to do. It was like, get serious, you're never going to get a good job doing this or doing that. So you have a major number of healers out there, some of whom are artists with the body mind, and we have amazing numbers of unlimiting forces for the mind and for how we think and how we're I spoke to this woman a while back about how she had the stiffness in her breastplate, really, is in that part of her body. But as we learn more and more about what kind of emotions are held in that part of the body, and as we learn more and more about stretching out and seeing life with different possibilities, then you find that humans actually become more able to offer themselves to be doing what used to be preposterous. You'll notice also that little wee kids, can do computer work without much training at all because the consciousness of that, and we spoke about your neck being a file folder for consciousness of self. The little ones, many of them are born with a really agile consciousness of self. And in the olden days when I was a baby, that wasn't so. It was maybe sometimes so, but not for a massive number. These little guys are waking up and helping themselves to computers and so on and so forth. That has a reference to a fully changing social structure, fully changing. They don't have to be confined to, the way our degrees used to keep us confined, how you had to live in the color in the lines of all these jobs and these engineering jobs and so on. You're better off if you want to be an engineer, for example. It seems like I'm going all over the place because everything is moving and it's moving very fast. But as I was saying, as you go into becoming an engineer, you'll notice that the straight lines that were drawn telling you what it is to be an engineer are actually emerging and changing, and you're going to redesign a lot of things. But there's someone else on the air, and that's good. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Veronica.
Yes.
Hi, Veronica. I'm calling from France. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
I had a question for you. I've followed you for a while, and I really love your work. And
Thank you.
I had a question about the about work. Basically, it's been really, really difficult to find work in my careers, my various careers, and I'm trying to do that. And I'm wondering if you have any tips or guidance.
I do. Actually, what you have is a massive amount of, you have a lot of talents and a lot of consciousness. I spoke of how the world is changing. You have an ability to pull together different strands from some of these new ways of being. We also see something interesting for you, which is Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe seems to pull you because there's something brand new, not brand new, but as they're innovating some very interesting media approaches. And we see you being the kind of being that would really enjoy being where things have not been done that way before. And we see that if that happens for you, now I say if because you're going to have to call for it. If that happens for you, you're going to really love it and you're going to make a big difference there. You'll return to France, but you will make a big difference at an opportunity that's coming up. Thank you. And I do have another caller, I'm happy to say.
Go ahead.
Not that you weren't an interesting caller. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Veronica. This is Susan.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm having fun right now. Do you have questions for me, Susan?
I do. I'm just wondering what you might be able to see about my desire to spend more time in Portland visiting my son, Peter, when my husband isn't feeling pulled like that, but I'm feeling pulled like that more and more. And so I'm wondering what you can sense into as far as that.
Well, it's interesting because you're the mom, and that there's another kind of pull in that, isn't there? Guidance is immediately saying that you're going to work it out, but it seems like your husband, he wants to stay where he is, it seems, and he'll come and go, but you're going to live part-time over by your son. How would you like that? And you have a lot of work to do over there as well. I know that you're extremely creative, very artistic, very musical, and so on. And there's work for you to do over near your son. And I'm not sure if he's one who's going to set it up for you or invite you to meet some people that would do that. So we're saying you had a part-time life over with your son, not with him, because you don't want to just live with your son. You want to be independent together. So I'd love to have feedback on that. Thank you for your call, Susan. I think we have another caller. Do we have another caller? Okay, we don't have another caller. I thought we did. So it's very interesting to me with Susan's call because it's an example that she's got an example of how life, home and family is changing very radically. And some of it's way more interesting. You know, families are living apart in a way, but they come together very well. And you notice that the young ones are enriching their independence, their innovative self. Not all of them, but this is what's happening with a lot of families that I know. The young ones have been traveling all over the world trying to get familiar with, say, France, and we spoke of Eastern countries and so on. And it's really helpful for the whole society. And we have another caller. Hi.
Hi, I'm just not sure how to. I seem to be technologically challenged today. I called the phone number, but I don't know. The other lady told me that I need to hang up after asking my question, but I don't know how else to listen in.
Oh, I see. Okay. And it's on YouTube. Did you get the little report on Facebook?
No, I had no idea it was on YouTube.
Okay.
But I don't want to trouble you and take up time, so if you need to go to someone else, that's fine.
Well, nobody else has called, so you get to ask one more question. How's that?
Oh, okay. So what should I hang?
This is our maiden voyage. YouTube, Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry? What's the, tell me again where on YouTube, just your channel?
Yeah, I think I would go there, but I think if you go to Facebook, you'll get the link to it.
Actually, I'm not on Facebook right now, so.
Well, I can't really answer the question until I get off and go look it up, so sorry.
Okay, is it Miracris? Is that where I'm going?
No, but that might help. That's a separate issue. But I just want to say, this is Susan, right? I just want to say that you're, I don't know if you got this, but what we were saying is that a lot of families are breaking up the very way you're talking about with you and your son. Not breaking up, but separating their backyards so that they can be in different environments. And the good part of it, from my perspective, the good part of it is that the kids aren't running like mad just to get away from their folks anymore. It's not quite that way. They're just setting up pods, places to go and live. And so you're on track. And your son is a very, very creative person and probably could use having a little family closer.
Okay.
All right.
But it sounds like it'll take time to work out.
Well, you've already worked part of it out. You know that. You've been laying tracks for a while. You know. And he also, here's the other thing, and this is for callers that I'm saying this, that you have spent time together and gone through some rough patches, which means that it's not as much resistance as there could have been. It'd be really quite mutually growing to be closer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he's a good kid.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Okay. Well, isn't that interesting? Because we talked at the very beginning about how the society is changing radically, and that's a perfect example. People don't need each other. They don't need to stick together all the time. We have another caller. We'll get on about this subject later. Hello. To whom do I speak?
Well, isn't that interesting? Because we talked at the very beginning about. I'm sorry, what was that?
Who am I talking to?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Bridget Hardy.
Oh, hi, Bridget. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm having fun. This is our maiden voyage of this particular show. So welcome. Can I answer any questions for you? We'll give you a big hug. Okay.
Oh, hi, Bridget. How are you? I'm good. How are you doing?
Are you still on, Bridget?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your question, darling?
My question is about, and I wanted a question that kind of applied to everybody, but I feel in the past election was sort of representative of this, is there's a big division between the genders in our sort of evolution as a society right now, and I think Donald Trump represents a certain vision of masculinity, and I feel in my own individual relationships with men, particularly in straight culture, that there is a heaviness that maybe is upon us. And I'd just like your insights on how men and women can better understand and connect with each other. And I guess if I would add a personal part in there, how I could do this in my own life and relationship.
I think you're actually asking one of the best questions right now. I don't mean it's a competition. I mean, this is a really difficult thing for everybody, I think. And one of the things about it is that we were consciously separated by a number of political moves. And that reason, I will be judgmental of Trump, but one of the things that he thrives on is having people resist each other. It gives people false muscles, doesn't it? So it's really hard for it not to be popular in a way. People go, whoa, look at that tough guy. He could really do that. And I think the good thing about, okay, you asked about how to deal with it with people that you know and so on. I think the only way to deal with it is to start talking about what's real. So if you're dating men, if I were you, I would talk about that being real. And in about 2 seconds, you're going to know whether you want to put on your high heel sneakers and run up the road. Because the men that you're interested in, a lot of men that I know of these days are really afraid of relationships because they don't quite know how to be anymore. I was talking about how the social stuff is so different. Nobody quite knows how to be. So if they're afraid and they won't talk to you about it, then it's a really distant kind of relationship. And I really think I don't even know how to solve the problem, except that for me, who was a pretty active feminist in the 60s and 70s, okay, I realized when you have a whole group of people, particularly a women's group that's really powerful and has a lot of ideas, sometimes having a man enter the meeting was shocking because he would help us all focus on the point of the meeting. And I go, oh yeah, that's the old thing. Is the guys bring it to the stronger men bring it to a point, and women we're trying this and that and the other because we're trying to nurture the species. Women are nurturers more than men are, although some men are nurturers as well. But it's when we get through the subtle dynamics of what each person is trying to show, what a good guy I am or what a great woman I am, and that respect really changes the dynamics. And we have to add the other thing, which is we have been set apart by all kinds of advertisement and so on. It is not about sex, all about it. Some of it's about ages, and a lot of young people have been marketed to be frustrated with older people. If you really go through the examination of these things, you'll see that a lot of the marketing has set us up for that. And once you know that, it gets easier to put on your hip waders and wander through the melee that's going on. I feel like one thing that's coming up in this discussion, Bridget, is I know it's a one sided discussion here, is that awareness that we're really loving beings and we want evolution. And we really can't do evolution if we're being bamboozled by people who want to control. And whether you're a boy person or a girl person, you know. And it's really a big deal these days. And look at the number of people that are trans now. Look at the number of people that are going into being gay, whether they want to or not. I don't know. I'm very confused, but I think it's a reflection of the confusion that they're in. And then we back up and say something really simple like hearing each other, knowing who we really are. And I started off today, this session, by saying who you really are is what you're growing about. Who you really are when you don't know what to expect from other people. Go inside and say, who am I really? And you'll find you've got some fledgling gifts, artistries, relationship material trying to rise in you. And we often subject that to a lot of like defensiveness or judgment or I'm not the right person to think that way. No, you need to go in there and be who you really are. And I think we're requiring a whole overhaul in our society. It's happening in spite of us. So we have another caller. Thanks for your call, Bridget. Big hugs to you. Who is this? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I'm waiting to ask a question.
Please do. Can I have your first name?
Oh, hi, Ronnie. My name is Anna or Anna Marie.
Good. Hi, Anna Marie. How you doing?
Hi. Good. Oh, not so good. I wanted to ask, like, I've had recently someone die, and it's just really messing me up, you know.
And who was it? Is it a parent or is it a lover? Who is it?
This was my aunt that was to me a mother.
Okay.
And I haven't seen her for a long time, and I feel guilty about it, and I just don't know how to go on. You know, I know that it's all that we could be happy, but I just can't get myself there.
Permission. What I want to say is your aunt, I'm seeing her. I'm starting to cry too. So that's just an empathy for you having to part with someone. And the guilt, she doesn't need you to feel guilty. Your aunt really loved you. You know that? And I feel like she still does. I can feel her wanting to. It's interesting because I've started to cry myself because I can feel her wanting you to know that she cares so much about you and that you've done some very good. I don't know what it is you did for her, but she's saying you did some wonderful heart connection with her and she needed you. And she's so grateful for you. And you know what? She's very pleased and peaceful about where she is. I guess she was pretty in pain physically when she left. Was she? Oh, I guess you can't hear me because we chop off the connection. But it appears to me that she was pretty uncomfortable before she passed. And then she is very comfortable now. Not only comfortable, but one final thing, something that you know she liked a lot was learning a lot. She's learning a lot and reviewing a lot of things. So you haven't done anything wrong, darling. It's very, one more thing I want to say to you, Anna Marie, is that when we have regrets and we have ways of looking at ourselves, it's really educational, isn't it? Like, oh, golly, I don't want to do that again because not only did it hurt her, it hurt me. And I don't want to go around hurting people. So I just want to say to you, you're a really good person. You're an old soul. And as an old soul, you're going to use this material to refine something in you. And again, I got tears. Your aunt loves you and appreciates you for all you shared with her whilst she was living. So thank you for that. Isn't it interesting? We have no idea what difference we make for people who are living. We have no idea whether you've just spoiled their life. The chances are pretty slim that you have. But we have these really exaggerated responses to what we've done to this person or that, and they'll never recover. Well, au contraire, they not only recover, but they learn, and you learn a great deal from the exchanges that we have with one another. And sometimes, even though we cry a lot about it, it helps to cry over our regrets, to cry over things we've done wrong, and really feel the pain, because then when you start to release it, you've grown a lot. You've become a more evolved person. And that's what we're all living for, is to evolve. And I really loved the question. And the other thing is that this thing about evolving, that's a big job. But as you go through some of the difficulties of your own life, it's all about evolving, isn't it? It's all about loving one another and knowing what love really is, forgiving one another and knowing how we have to accept and understand one another in order to really forgive one another for when we've hurt, or to forgive ourselves so that you don't have these little etheric fingers reaching out and grabbing other people and letting them stay attached to that kind of vibration. So, when you can't forgive yourself, you're actually radiating out a kind of vibration, and that can attach to other people. So you pass on a kind of a mass consciousness of you're unforgivable, you're a problem, and so on. It's not true. None of that's true. And truth can be radiated out of us in a really interesting way and really attached to people around. I'm going to be very political here and say, and one of the things I find about Trump is that I try to make sure I never see him on television or anything. I don't want to see him, because talking about those frequencies reaching out and sending out a message that could attach to other people, he's not a good person. He doesn't care about you and I. And I don't need to go on and on about that. I'm sure you have your own opinions, but these are my opinions. And I just feel like we have to pay attention to when we have regrets about what we've done. We radiate that out, and it does impact other people. So that's a long, circuitous way of saying, go in there, feel what it really is. And then, if you can, get the sense of the energies in your body, mind, and when you can really feel them, because they feel really painful at times, exaggerate them, exaggerate them, exaggerate them, and ask God or your angels, anyone that you pray to, higher frequency beings, for help as you command total release of that feeling now. And it's remarkable, because you'll feel very different after a while. And not only that, you're going to feel much more, that people around you feel better, that people around you feel freed, people around you feel forgiven. See how we're contagious. So if you're in the wrong group, you're going to be suppressed and held down. And if you get conscious in your mind and start moving these feelings through you, you're going to be gifting a lot of people in your world. So, are there any other callers? Yeah. Okay. So, we'll have a few more minutes that if you want to call in quickly, and otherwise, I'll leave now, and that this will be our first shot at this new live call in show. And I thank all of you who participated. And I send all of you my love, my appreciation. And that's not hokey, because when you can send out love, if you can feel it and send out love, you're literally, people who curl, they have that way of sweeping the ice. You're literally sweeping out some of the darker frequencies in life, and it really helps. So again, I'm Veronica Entwistle, and I'm signing off tonight. And I'd love to speak with you next week. It'll be a call-in show. And also, I talk to and channel. Oh, I do have a caller? Oh, good. I want to say one more thing. I channel Miracris, who are my wonderful, beloved guidances. And we channel every, I think it's Thursday now. Yeah, every Thursday for an hour or so, however long it lasts. So we do have a caller. Oh, goody. Thank you. Hello.
I think she's signing off.
I'm not signing off. I'm right here.
Oh, you have a caller? I want to say one more thing. I channel Miracris, who are my wonderful, beloved guides. Veronica?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. I guess it's that there's a delay. Is that why you're still talking on my screen?
Yeah, that's probably it.
No, we didn't.
I'm new at this.
Okay.
We just started this today.
Hello. Hi. Do you want me to? I think she's signing off. Ask a question.
Yeah, just ask your question, because all the voices in the background are what happened before. I don't know how to turn it off. Yeah.
I see. There's just a delay. I understand now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I also have, this is Dante. I also lost, recently, we've lost some parents, and some expected, some not. And, it's created quite a difficulties and disruptions in the families and everything. And I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this. I'm always interested when you're talking about how the previous caller and her loved one, her aunt, and perceiving how they're feeling. How does that perception come to you? Is there a way that we can perceive them in the same way or try to connect? How do we connect to, unhook and resolve some of these issues?
That's a really good question, Dante. And I don't think there's only one answer. I think the thing about it is that some people have activated a kind of sensitivity in themselves, and some people haven't. So some will just be angry, frustrated, and so on, and some will be grieving and hurting like mad. Isn't it interesting? So you might all be sitting at the same family dinner, but the feelings are very different. And what can you do about it? I feel like you personally, and this isn't always true, but you personally have an ability to do some intense breathing and shift a lot of the left. Remember, I talked about the energy that sticks to us, and you've got the ability to clear that energy and begin to perceive more about the individuals that you've lost. I know your dad was gone, and he's actually quite glad to be gone. I don't know if you know that. There's something I can see here. But for you to share, to get a feeling, you make it a hit. Hey, I think my dad's happy to be gone, but how does that feel in your body? That's going to change how you handle your grief. And you're only one example, but I wanted to pick one that you could work with. You're a very wonderfully helping person, and you know that he needed to leave, and you've grieved a fair amount, but the chaos of the other people has been really hard for you. I can see that now. So I hope that helps you a little bit. But you're a really good family member. I'll say that one thing: you're a good family member because you're very involved in each one of the family reactions that are there. And that's a lot of work. So if I were you, I'd spend a little time every day commanding total release of each one of their feelings. Try to identify with it. And we have another caller, and thank you for your call so much. Hello.
Hi, Veronica.
Oh,
this
hi.
Is Peg.
Hi, Peg. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I do. I do.
Goody.
I have a question to do with little roads.
Oh, okay. People at home might want to know that that's your great-granddaughter.
Yes. And the reason I'm asking this question is because she has been very rude and breaks things. She throws things down, fragile things.
Oh. And she's
so
2?
I don't know if it's something to do with she's not feeling well. She does seem to have I would say a cold.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm concerned about her gut. Her gut has got something. I'm not saying it's worms or something, but there's something in there. And that can make any of us really crotchety. I would get that looked at if I were you. Because it's not that she's, one of the things about her that's really interesting is she's dynamic. And if you're feeling terrible and you're dynamic, well, good gosh, and try to keep your sense of humor. But I would ask the family to have her checked for intestinal, whether it's bacteria or, and I mentioned worms. Little kids can get like pinworms and that sort of thing too. But she's got something going on in there. So I'm glad you're her great-grandmother because you'll help her a lot. She's a good person. Thank you so much for your call, and I look forward to the next one. Apparently, there's another call coming through. But it's funny with the body mind for all of us. Before we decide that somebody's horrible or badly behaved, we really need to check for their gastrointestinal, for their heart. We need to check these little basic places. I don't mean to take them through emergency, but you know how you can check to see if a child has got constipation, or if your old parent has got constipation. It makes a huge difference in how they get along in life. So I think that would be very, very helpful for your little great granddaughter. So I don't think we have another caller. I'll give you a minute or two to phone in if you're still wanting to call in. This is Veronica Entwistle. I've really enjoyed the calls today. This is my start off show for a live call-in show, and it's going to run on YouTube. So I'm really looking forward to getting at this on a regular basis. And if you'd like, you can send me, I don't know which address they're showing here, but you can send me a little request, email, and so on. So again, this is Veronica Entwistle, and I'd love to talk to you again. And I hope you have enjoyed this show, and we'll be doing it again next week. Thank you for listening.